and we'll get going. Hey everybody, I'm Bill. Hello Zap, what's going on today?
How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. Today is October 5th, and this is, it's not October 5th, that's a lie. Today's October 19th, and this is episode 50 of Run, Jump, Stomp. It's a podcast about stuff that we like, mostly games though. This week, we're going to be talking about, there's more VR controllers.
UFG closed?
I don't even know what that is. Valve is getting cozy with the DualShock.
Fan makes Lucio gun.
Valve told Stop the Madness.
Red Dead announced.
Those stories and more on this episode of Run, Jump, Stomp. Stick around. All right, man, oh man, we have got a lot to talk about, so let's go ahead and get started. The first section that we do is
tomorrow morning's headlines tonight.
Headlines.
And here's what makes it really
And
marvelous.
I talked right over all of that stuff, but that's okay. So this is a story that Valve is showing off their VR controller prototypes. Now, last week we talked about how the controllers for what was the Oculus Rift.
Yeah.
So the Oculus Rift touch controllers or move controllers, I forget what they're called, but they were like $200 for these controllers, which I thought was bananas. That being said, I don't know what what tech is in them that justifies that cost, or maybe it doesn't. I'm not sure, but either way, $200 is a lot of money. That's a lot of cabbage. My cabbages. So, this week, Valve is showing off their new VR controller prototypes, and man, these things look weird. They've got, and of course, I mean, if you're watching the video, I'm holding up a Steam controller, and a Steam controller has these two pads that are your input methods for your games, and then I suppose it shouldn't be a huge surprise that the Valve VR controllers that they have those same pads in them. These ones look a little more, I can't remember, which is it, convex or concave where it goes down? I think it's concave because it cave in.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Yeah, I think so. So these look a little more concave than the Steam controller does. And the button placement looks weird, and they got weird lights going on around the outside, but they're very interesting. They said that they're designed so that you can let them go. So when you're playing, you can actually open up your hands, and it'll detect that you've opened your hands up. And because your hands are open, they're strapped to your hands at the same time, so you can open your hands and simulate dropping something without losing the controller, which is kind of cool. So it'll allow you to reach over and pick stuff up and feel that thing in your hand, especially because I'm sure that they're going to have some kind of that virtual feedback that they have in the Steam controller. Because I don't know if you've used a Steam controller, but when you play it, you can almost feel it feels like you're moving a trackball around under your thumbs when you're playing with a Steam controller. They've got some kind of haptic feedback that tricks your brain into thinking that you're sliding something around. It's really cool. I bet that this is going to have that same kind of feedback. And I don't know, for those of you who haven't watched my my video, I did a review of the Steam controllers probably about 2 weeks after they first came out. It's probably, I don't know, a half an hour, 45 minutes long of a video. So only go watch it if you are definitely interested in it. But the thing that I noted in that video was that the haptic feedback is the thing that makes this controller amazing. That and the customization, which they continually improve upon all the time. This controller is way more customizable than it ever was when it first came out, and they just keep making these improvements to it, and I really like the improvements that they make. So that makes me have a pretty good feeling about the controllers that Valve is developing for VR. So that being said, what do you think about this?
Looks like something from the Matrix. It's the first thing that pops in my head. I'm thinking, it's some crazy thing. I mean, that's I was just reading the article a little bit further down. I mean, they do say they may not even see the light of day, which is a real shame because I think in design concept, I think they're quite cool. I think they're a very different kind of thing. And I think that's the kind of cool thing with VR because they take the conventional. I haven't got my PS4 controller. Show the Steam controller. But they take that conventional controller away, or keyboard and mouse, and they can change it into something different because you're using both hands in VR. So, you know, I hope that something like this does get developed. On a personal note, my dad has just bought an Oculus Rift. Turned up yesterday. I'm going over at the weekend to have a good solid go on it. I will report back next week what it's actually like. And he's going to let me borrow it to actually do a video and stream with the Oculus Rift so I can get a feel of these VR headsets to see if they're worth really at this point in time investing in. But my thing with it is the controller. When you sit down and play a game as a gamer, your controller has to be comfortable. Your keyboard, your mouse has to be comfortable, has to fit in your hand nice, it has to feel good. And you praise, Run Jump, the Steam controller a lot. And hearing what you say about it and watching your video, I really am tempted to go out and buy a Steam controller because I think that's a really good piece of kit. And yeah, I'm like you, this does give me positive kind of feeling that if Steam have got that positive piece of kit and they can take what they've learned and done with the Steam controller into their own VR controllers, then this is going to be a good product. I just hope it's not $200.
Yeah. Well, that's the question
thing.
I was just going to ask you is, I mean, think about how much the Vive cost compared to the Oculus Rift and the the much lower price of PS4 VR. The Vive is, I think it's the most expensive of the three. So my guess is that these controllers are probably going to be pretty expensive as well. That being said, I don't know, because the Steam controller is constantly on sale. Like you'll see a game coming out. Like I remember when Doom came out, you could get a copy of Doom that came with the Steam controller for only $20 extra. So that means you were getting the Steam controller for $20. So by the way, if you're thinking about going out and buying a Steam controller, don't do it right now. We're coming up on November soon, and that means we're going to have a Steam sale soon, and every single time they have a Steam sale, the Steam controllers and the Steam links go on sale. So definitely wait for that. And I was right that it is concave. Thank you, Brovden Darian 97 in chat for confirming that. When I look again at the picture, it's got like, and if you're watching the video, you can see what I'm pointing at with the mouse. It's got these things on the front. I think those are lights so that the cameras can track what you're doing with your hands in addition to gyroscopes. It looks like it has 3 buttons around each pad, and then my guess is it's probably going to have 2 triggers, maybe 3 triggers, because the Steam controller has a right button, a right trigger, and then the back of the controller has like another button that you can push with your pinkies or your ring fingers, kind of like the Xbox One Pro controller. So that's definitely fewer buttons, which would probably make most people feel a little concerned. But what I find is because of the customizability of the Steam controller, I don't need as many buttons because I can map things to different. Like, I can pull in a trigger and bring up an on-screen thing that has 20 buttons on it and use the pad to select that button, which is really cool. My guess is that they're going to use the same software or very similar software to give people customization options. So having 6 face buttons and no stick probably won't be as big a deal as it seems like it might be.
One thing I will say though is like how many wires is going to come off it. The one thing I noticed with the Rift is that it's very minimalistic. I think is the best way to put it with the wires, and it's very well hidden. My dad did a lot of research into the Rift itself, and the reason he went for the Rift, not just the price. The price is one of those things, and it was neither here or there for him, but it just looked like a bit more of a professional handset or the headset with the wires and things like. And Dad's, I'm very much the same. I hate wires. And looking at the HTC Vive, when you look at the wires that come down from the front, I know it needs the wires. I'm not saying that you can't have it without the wires, but I kind of get that. The last thing you want is these Steam controllers, these VR controllers with wires coming off everywhere. It'll be like when the Wii first launched, when people were throwing their controllers into TVs, you'd be tripping over all sorts. And if they keep it simple, minimalistic, I think it's going to be a really smart design. They remind me of the Wii remote as well. Actually, they have that kind of look to them. And I'm wondering if there's going to be a button with your index finger, like the trigger button is going to be where. And I think it is actually on the left-hand one. You can see what looks like a button underneath. So it's definitely something to watch. I hope they get it. I hope they make something that looks really smart.
Yeah, and the thing that you got to get the controllers right in order for VR to work. Because if you're sitting there and you're just using like your Xbox controller or your PlayStation controller, I feel like that's a failure. You need to be able to move your hands around and do stuff. Speaking of wires, just real quick, I want to show this. In order to hook up the PSVR, they had to show 3 videos in order to show how to hook this thing up, because there's so many wires going to so many places. And I feel like first off, the video was cool and it made me want to buy a PSVR, which I'm not going to do. But it looks like there's just too many wires going on all over the place. You can see it in the background if you're watching the video. It's a little bananas. That being said, you said a second ago, you're not saying that there's not going to be wires. I think in maybe 5 years, you could have a completely wireless solution
Totally agree.
that's an actual VR experience. And hell, at the same time, before the show, in the pre-show, we were talking about the Google Pixel, and they've got their Daydream VR. That's completely wireless. Their controller doesn't have any wires. You can't open up your hand and drop an object in it. I think it only has one button and like a little touch thing on it. This is not. They say it's for gaming. It is not for gaming. It's probably for watching things or interacting in like educational entertainment. I don't think the Pixel VR, the Daydream VR from Google Pixel, is that's not really a gaming thing. It'll be like it's like the phone games to console games. Yes, they are games, and yes, you can play them, but at the same time, these are not the type of games. These are not the games you're looking for. That kind of thing, I guess. Anyway, anything else to add before we move on to your first story?
Yeah, I will say this. One thing Dad has said, because he wears glasses like yourself, and as we discussed in the pre-show, just before we started, I'm gonna have to be wearing glasses as well. VR headsets aren't comfortable for glasses people. He's saying he's struggling a lot with the whole headset around his head with the glasses on. So that's something you want to take in consideration. And I wish developers would look at this as a bit more of a kind of, there are many people in the world that have to wear glasses. It's not a uncommon thing. Surely with the technology that we have in this day and age, surely there's a way of building a headset that makes it comfortable on the ears with glasses on.
Yeah, the PSVR, they say that that's adjustable so that your so that your glasses are not a problem. I don't know about the Vive. I don't know about the Rift, but I know that they went out of their way to say, "Hey, you wear glasses? No problem." And the Daydream thing from Google, that is also supposed to be pretty comfortable with glasses. Now, Chaz 1961 in chat, he says that the Sony one, the PSVR, is pretty comfortable, or he says it's okay. And he tried it and wears glasses. I'd be interested in what you think about that, Chaz. Don't forget you can email us, runjumpstomp@gmail.com, and let us know what is your opinion about that thing. What's your experience? Because neither Zap or myself have a way to really experience the PSVR. Zap has a better chance than I do because he has a PS4, but I don't even have a PS4. So if I'm going to try the PSVR, I don't even know anybody that has a PS4. Oh, that's not true. I have one buddy who has a PS4, and he's not going to be buying a PSVR anytime soon just because I know him. So yeah, I'm curious as to your experience with it. That being said, let's move on to your first story. Zap, why don't you tell us about this?
UFG closed, possibly, maybe. UFG stands for United Front Games, and is reportedly closed, which is really strange. Sleeping Dogs Studio. Sleeping Dogs was a really cool open world game set in Japanese triad sort of thing. Really cool. One of my favorite games, actually. And the studio that made it closed. And why I say this is a bit odd is because they just released a game onto Steam called Smash and Grab.
Yeah, I remember seeing this.
Yeah, and it's come from a tweet from Scarless. Is currently mourning the best job I ever had and worked a wonderful team I've ever worked with. The end of a great era. Goodbye, UFG. So it's a real shame. For me personally, I hate to see game studios close. It's really, really sad for the industry. You know, especially ones that, you know, I'm not talking about big developers. I'm not talking about your Activisions, your Blizzards, your EAs. I'm talking about the studios that once in a while they'll pop out an absolute gem of a game, and that kind of game keeps them going for years and years. Sleeping Dogs was one of those games that did actually keep, I think, UFG afloat. Whether this is completely not true or not, it hasn't been confirmed. Is just it's just sad for the industry. And Smash and Grab was a title that went into early access. Demo was out a few weeks ago. They had a free weekend as well, like a couple of weeks ago, and they've removed it. The Steam page is still there, but it says it's no longer available to purchase. So, you know, it's a shame. I really do feel for, you know, if it is they are closed, anybody over there at UFG, I hope they all can get, you know, find new jobs. I really do hope it is the case.
Wow. Yeah, it says on the Steam page, this was posted yesterday. A huge thank you to everyone who played and bought Smash and Grab over the last several weeks. We hope everyone had a great time playing. As we will not be doing any further development or support, we have asked Valve to make refunds available to any owners who... and then it cut off. I didn't realize it was going to cut off, so I got to click a link. To any owners who request them, regardless of how many hours played. If you would like a refund, please use the usual Steam refund tools. Thanks for the support. I got to say that they, you know, whatever happened to close them, this is the only thing that I know about these guys. I never played Sleeping Dogs. I heard it was good. I'd never played this game either, but it looked interesting. And they could have just said, we went out of business. Sorry. Thanks for the money. Thanks so long. And thanks for all the fish. But instead they owned up and they said, hey guys, if you want a refund, since we're not going to be finishing this game, just, ask and we'll give it to you. That's awesome of them. And they also, they're also giving people the opportunity to keep the game if they want. My question for this, it's real cheap. It's unavailable. You can't even buy it right now, right?
I think Chaz is talking about Sleeping Dogs.
Oh, okay. But Does this game have dedicated servers, or is it like person to peer to peer?
That I don't know. I got in for the I played like the beta, and I never really delved into that. You kind of take an online game for granted these days because you just think that they're all going to work and there's not really any problems. So I don't know. That's something to have a look into, because if it is dedicated servers, then you
better return it.
Yeah, you're up to Swanee basically, and if it's peer to peer, then you got a chance. I believe Smash and Grab was like a Dota, it was a MOBA style thing, so I think it's going to be dedicated servers. So
yeah,
again,
otherwise there's too much cheating.
Yeah, it's a real shame that a company that that they've either gone under. No one knows. It is just a rumor, but it's quite strong rumor. Again, with these sort of stories, if I find out anything else next week, I'll do an update on it. And I hope it was nothing like serious. I really hope it wasn't anything that too damaging to the people that work there.
Yeah, it's always sad when a company goes out of business, especially because, the developers, they probably were really enjoying what they were doing, and now they've got to go find a new job, and that sucks. Let's move on to the next story. This is one that I saw, and I thought, ooh, Zap is going to like this. Valve is adding full DualShock 4 configurability to Steam. So, remember the configuration, the thing that I like so much about my Steam controller is that, well, Sony announced that they were going to sell a little dongle to let you connect your DualShock 4 to your computer. Awesome, that sounded great. Well, Valve is getting in here and they're like, hey, we're going to have it be fully configurable, touchpad and all. So it's got like if you don't have a PS4, the DualShock has like this touchpad in the middle, and you can see it on screen right now. But it's got a touchpad in the middle that you can use for various things in various games. That thing is going to be able to be customized. It has gyroscopes in it, which is one of the best things about the Steam controller. It also has these gyroscopes, and those gyroscopes are also going to be configurable as if the PS4 or the DualShock 4 is a Steam controller. So basically, all the configuration except for the two little pads that you have on a Steam controller. Now, I was reading about the Steam controller some more. That they recently did a presentation to game devs about why you should be using the Steam API to develop your game. And one of the reasons that they talked about, which was really interesting from a programming standpoint, is that they were saying, okay, so when you are programming a game and you want a function to happen when you push the X button or when you release the X button. So what you'll do is you'll write a function that's like on X released, do this script, do this stuff. Okay? Well, Valve is saying don't do that. Instead, what you should do is you should say, instead of saying when A is pressed, have Mario jump, you should just say when jump is pressed, have Mario jump, and let our software interpret all of those configurations based on what controller the player has for you. Now, here's why this is awesome. You can have the symbols that come up on the screen change based on what controller the player has without any extra work from the developer. So the developer doesn't have to include the diamond, or not diamond, the X, circle, square, triangle. They don't have to include that stuff in their game. That's going to be handled by Valve. You don't have to include the ABXY for the Xbox controller or the Steam controller. All you have to do is say, if there's an action that happens, do this. And then Valve's API will handle the part where it says, if you push the triangle, call this action. The reason why this is so great is because when I sit down at a game and maybe maybe I prefer the triangle button or something on a Steam controller. I don't know, or on a DualShock 4. Maybe I prefer that. And so I can say, well, I'm going to assign jump to the triangle button. And so when it comes up on screen, it'll say press triangle to jump, but the developer didn't have to do anything for that, which is really cool. So I really like this functionality being added to it. It also shows that, and this really surprised me, that Sony, like, is Sony working with Valve to make this happen? I'm not sure. They said, and the quote is, and then I'll get your reaction here. It says, using the PS4 controller through the Steam API is exactly the same as a Steam controller. You make the exact same API calls, only you get actions, not inputs, and the Steam API takes care of everything else. So it's a lot less work for the developers. They said this means that players can pair their PS4 controller directly to their PC and use all the configurability options available to the Steam controller, including the use of the PS4 touchpad and gyro. So at the beginning, you were saying you were thinking of getting a Steam controller. Does this change anything for you?
Don't bother now. Hang on. Let me just 2 seconds.
Oh, he had to go. My guess is he's going to go get his DualShock.
You guessed it. I've gone to get my... Oh, crap.
Oh, he knocked everything down.
That's what you get for moving.
Yeah.
All right. So for me, as I said about the VR controllers, a controller is I think is the most important thing about a console or a computer. Your keyboard, your mouse, everything has to feel right. Now, being a PlayStation man, being a Sony man, these things here are heaven. They're heaven every sense of the word. I have a 360 controller somewhere around here, one that I haven't broken. Well, I've broken one of these as well, actually. So this is, and in England, these are like £50, so they're about $60 for you guys over there. And they're not cheap, but if you're used to it, they're lovely to hold. I could look at a computer console and not have to worry about where any button is or any placement or anything. When I hold a 360 controller, it's a bit all, it feels a bit alien. I'm used to one now because I use it. But if they're bringing this ability for this to work with my computer without having to install God knows how much third-party software, because it's an absolute pain in the backside right now. It really is. It's the worst thing, or it was. I don't know if the dongle's released yet or not. I think it is actually out. But it used to be an absolute pain. I'm happy. Give me. And I won't bother with a Steam controller because this thing here, and people don't give it enough credit. You summed it up perfectly. You give it a lot of credit there. This has a lot of stuff going for it. The problem with Sony is what they do is they pack their stuff with so much good technology. Another example is this thing here, the Vita. It's packed with so much good technology, right? The Vita itself has a touch screen. It has touch pads on the back. It has a gyroscope in it as well. It's packed with so much good tech. And then what they do, Sony, they don't develop for it, or they don't advertise it, or they don't publish for it. They don't do anything with it. So these controllers, they've got so much good tech in them, and there's about 3 games that use this bit, like to its full to the full potential. The touchpad, the trackpads, that's a really cool thing. And some games, all they do is they use it to bring up menus. Well, why? Why have it just as a menu button? So,
well, I know exactly why they do that. I'm sorry to interrupt here, but the reason why they do that is because if I'm a third-party developer, I don't want to develop different things for different controllers. I want all the controllers to be the same so that when I say there is no solution for me to use that touchpad on an Xbox One controller. Like, that doesn't exist. So therefore, third-party developers are going to ignore extra features like that. That's the one thing about that is those extra features get ignored. The Wii U, that's the console that I have. A lot of times, the screen that is in the controller, while it's really cool, it gets ignored by anybody who's a third party, which is not very many people. Anybody who's a third party that makes games for the Wii U, they almost always ignore that screen. Why? because there's no analog on the other system. So why bother? Because that's just extra work. So I get what you're saying, but that's probably why it gets ignored so much.
I understand that. Don't think I'm being naive from the whole developers, but they should use it. But this whole thing is going to give me a chance to probably go out there and explore like how I can change my gaming with a controller. Now, I would never use a controller for a first-person shooter. That's bonkers. Keyboard and mouse.
No, I disagree. You should. And
really? Are you a controller man for first-person shooters?
Well, I wasn't until the Steam controller, and now here's the reason: is that gyroscope, and your DualShock has a gyroscope in it.
Yeah.
Okay. Basically, when I'm playing on this, I swipe my thumb back and forth on the pad on the right to do a quick movement. So,
okay.
So if I need to spin around quick, I just swipe and my character will spin all the way around really fast. And then if I need to aim, I'm aiming with my controller with the gyroscope. That's how I get precise aiming. And that's how I've been playing Doom only using this, no mouse and keyboard, and it's been great. Now, is it for everybody? No. Chaz in Chat, which is an awesome you need to change your name to Chaz in Chat. That's an awesome name. Chaz 1961 in chat. He said he tried the Steam controller. It's $50 where he lives, and he didn't like it. It's not going to be for everyone. I think it's the best controller I've ever used. I don't like DualShock 4s. I hate them. Well, okay, I didn't. DualShock 3s. I don't like DualShock 3s. I've never used a DualShock 4. I didn't like the controller on the PS2. I didn't like the controller on the PS3. I don't like their sticks. I feel like their sticks are crap. They feel garbagey to me. I much prefer the Xbox 360 sticks to the PS4 sticks, and this stick on here is this is the best one that I've ever used. It has just the right amount of resistance. It's got like these little dimples around the outside, so you don't feel like it's sliding out of your hand or away from your thumb. I always hated the sticks on the PlayStation controllers, but then again, everybody is going to have their own preferences, and that's why this is a big story, because this means they also said on here, it says, and at the very end, and I didn't say this, it says at the very end, it says, and don't fret if you're an Xbox fan, dates and details haven't been announced, but similar support for other controller models is coming. Unless we be accused of bias, Microsoft's pricey Elite controller is really nice too. So they're saying that the Xbox Elite controller, which is supposed to be really good, and it has the back paddle things like the Steam controller does. That's going to be on there too. So that means if you are a Steam player, that's right, Brav. I love to talk about sticks. So if you're a Steam player, that means you get your choice of controller. It's not about being forced into one. You get to pick the one that you like, and that's what I think is fantastic.
Yeah, I will say this one thing though. I just noticed the Steam controller when you're holding it up there on the camera, and your gyroscope is actually put in a better position. If you want to play shooters games with the gyroscope here, you actually got to hold the controller like this, and that's quite awkward. I'm going to be honest with you. That's quite an.
You got to hold it vertical.
No, but like that, you got to hold it like this with your thumb over one of the sticks. Your one itself is actually in a better place. So,
well, the gyroscope is the part where the tilt is aiming stuff. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Well, what I mean is, so hang on. When you do your shooters on the Steam controller, you're using your pad to swipe across.
Yes, because this is my mouse basically.
That's what I'm saying. This here will be from the look of the picture, will be the mouse. This bit here, which is the pad.
Yeah. Okay. So he's talking about this picture. Let me open up the image in a new tab and see if it's not any bigger.
So when it comes to actually playing shooters with a PS4 controller, I like the idea of what you're saying. Being able to play a shooter with a controller, that precision aiming you get from your controller, that's pretty cool. Because usually anybody who knows who plays a first-person shooter beforehand, you have to use sticks, and sticks isn't fun. Let's be honest, doing it because you want to spin around as fast as you can and shoot the person shooting you in the back.
Yeah.
So this thing here would be our mouse pad, the middle trackpad,
Right.
and when you try and spin it, you're getting in the way of another stick. So if PlayStation or Sony will never redesign this. This is their brand image. That
Yes,
controller.
it is. Yeah, they're never gonna. They've had that same layout since the PS1. They're never gonna change that.
The only thing it's done, it's got fatter and it's had something in the middle. It's grown up and drunk too much beer. That's what this controller has done. Alright, so it's got to be wider. The buttons, everything is. You look at a PS1 controller back when they first released it. Triangles, circles, X, and square are all in the same position. When they brought out the sticks, all in the same position. Digital pad, all in the same position, and the back buttons, all in the same position. This is their brand image. So, if I want to get a controller to play a first-person shooter, then I probably wouldn't. But I'd invest in a Steam controller, because unfortunately, that's something that's not going to happen with this because of this stick here.
Yeah, that's true. Chaz in chat said that it should be on the back like the Vita. I don't think that the PS4 controller is big enough on the back to really have something like that.
You got
they're
some
very
fat
narrow.
hands.
Yeah, they're very narrow on the back. We can bounce back and forth about our favorite controllers for days. The thing that we just need to remember is Valve is the one company that is making it so you can use the controller that you like on the system that you like, and that makes me happy. What is your next story, sir?
Our next story is, well, we're both Overwatch fans, and I haven't played too much Lucio. Have you?
No, I'm not. Well, okay, I played a little bit at the beginning because I thought he was cool, and he is cool, but I'm not good enough with him.
Yeah.
Lucio's got a play style where you're up on the walls and stuff, and I don't think to utilize that enough. So I'm better off just playing Soldier 76 or May or Reinhardt. Those are the guys that I like to play.
But how would you like your own Lucio gun?
Well, does it play real music?
Yes.
All right. Can I use the boop button to knock people over?
I don't know about that one, but a fan of Overwatch has made a real-life Lucio gun. This is incredible. My mind is blown with 3D printers because this guy. There's a video that you got to watch, and basically Blizzard's new IP for 20 years has had a lot of success this year. It's one of their biggest games, I think, with over 12 million players at this point in time. But this guy has gone to the next level and making his very own Lucio gun. I think this is fantastic. Do you know what? If you ever need a happy story, that thing is incredible. So what he did was he actually, I believe he made some guns from a different hero from, as he says in the video, from Overwatch. And the company sent him out the speaker parts to make these guns sound. Did the same thing. They even put in the speakers. It plays music. It's absolutely incredible. Do you know what? That's an absolutely, just amazing. I was absolutely gobsmacked when I read this to see someone's actually got a life-size Lucio gun. I'm a little bit disappointed. He's not on roller skates running around playing this music, but that hats off to the guy to want to sit there in a 3D printer. In the video, it goes through how he did it, the whole process. He gets the mock-up images and puts it all together. And that's his final product. That's just an amazing piece of equipment.
That's cool. And not only that, but he's allowing people to get the 3D printer files that he used, so you can print your own. And I don't know where I saw it. I saw it on Flipboard earlier. That there is currently on Amazon. There is some 3D printer. I don't know which one. I don't know if it's a good one or a bad one or whatever. But it's $200. Which I think is pretty ridiculously cheap for a 3D printer. I don't know. I haven't been shopping for them. I just was flipping through stories on Flipboard, and somebody said that or one of the stories was all these things that were on sale on Amazon, and one of them was a 3D printer for roughly $200, which I think is very cheap. It's really cool that this guy made this. I always like to see stories like this. Man, right now I'm just watching the video of how you make the parts. It's so cool. Don't know about wearing the gas mask, though. That seems like a pain. Maybe this is bad for you. The guy's walking around wearing a gas mask like Roadhog.
He's actually Roadhog.
Princess said in chat that you could see Tracer's gun sitting on his on top of his printer in the background.
Yeah, he made Tracer's guns, and the company sent out the parts for him to make Tracer's gun like light up and have all the sounds come out of it. It's just incredible. Like you see, like the cosplayers do all these weapons, but this is probably one of my favorite things.
Yeah,
no, this guy has gone to the whole length of building that gun, and it's just like, well, hats off to you.
Yeah, it's definitely cool. I want a 3D printer, but I will never spend that much money on it. I think that very soon that the 3D printers are going to be a whole lot cheaper very soon. And it's going to be, they're going to be just as widespread and common household items as regular printers are now. And because of that, you're going to see stuff like this happen way more often than it already does, which is cool. I think it's a great thing. Our next story, I know that you're going to be interested in this one, and it is a press release. Basically, Valve Corporation is told to stop facilitating gambling. This comes from the Washington State Gambling Commission headquarters. It says, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'll get the big thing. It says, the Washington State Gambling Commission has notified Valve Corporation that it must immediately stop allowing the transfer of virtual weapons known as skins for gambling activities through the company's Steam platform. I'm not going to read the whole thing. If you want, check the show notes, and you can see what's actually going on there. Read the rest of the PDF. Now, Valve actually responded to this. They missed the original deadline to respond, but then they did come back to it. I'm trying to grab the story real quick because where's the response? No, that's the original one. Updated. There we go. All right, so then Valve replied, basically, and it says, Valve has now issued a response to the Washington State Gambling Commission's call for an action on the matter for the gambling, and they said that they do not facilitate gambling through Steam, and there is no factual or legal support for these accusations. The company said it's surprised and disappointed by the WSGC has chosen to pursue the matter publicly, but added that it has taken steps to discourage skin gambling on third-party websites and is open to further cooperation with the commission. So they went on to say that the reason that this is working, or the reason that this is happening, is because these sites are taking advantage of two Steam services in order to operate. The first is the ability to purchase or trade skins, and I don't fault Valve for allowing their users to purchase or trade skins. That's fine. But then there's the ubiquitous OpenID system of authentication that allows Steam customer to identify oneself on a third-party website by association with a Steam account. Again, I don't really have a problem with that. I don't think that they should turn off that service, but what they should do is they need to get with these third-party sites, and they need to say, guess what? We're shutting your access off. Now, technically, I don't know if it's possibility for them to use, because they use OpenAuth or OAuth, which is an OpenID system. I don't know if they can technically say this site can't use OAuth and this site can. I don't know if that's possible, but they said we don't want to turn off the Steam services described above that the skin gambling sites have taken advantage of. In-game items, Steam trading, and OpenID have substantial benefits for Steam customers and Steam game-making partners. We do not believe it's the Commission's intention, nor is it within the Commission's authority to turn off lawful commercial and communication services that are not directed to gambling in Washington. So they're saying, look, you can use this stuff for legal reasons. Just because other people are using it for illegal reasons, that shouldn't affect us. And I kind of get their argument there. What do you think, Zap?
Well, I think it's a big, to put it bluntly, a big middle finger to what's going on. I think Valve are just going, that's that. We don't want anything to do with it. That's my opinion. You know my frustrations and my the viewers and listeners should know my frustrations and anger with the whole gambling thing. I think this is the most ridiculous thing and terrible thing to happen this year in gaming, where there are people allowing underage gamblers to go on and buy skins through a Steam. You know, it's something to do with Steam. Who owns Steam? Well, Valve. So Valve have to find a way to stop it. I don't. To be fair, I don't give a monkey's what Valve has said. I hold Valve 100% responsible because it's their part. They have a part in this. They have a complete part because it's their stuff that they're using. If you can't turn it off, build. I don't know how easy it would be or how long it would take. Find a new way to authenticate age. Find a new way to authenticate stuff because there's your problem. I can be 13, 14 years old and all I've got to do is just click something to say that I'm over the age of 13. It's not good enough.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
I understand Washington. Washington are basically saying, look, there's illegal gambling going on in our state. We have to do something about this. And they instead of going, well, those people are doing the gambling, but let's go to the main source. They've gone to Valve, you know, and they're trying to punish they're trying to cut it off straight away, which Steam have come out and basically given them a very good answer and said, look, you know, at the end of the day, OpenID is used by all sorts. It's used for legal, and we're also seeing it be used for illegal, but we're not going to turn it off. It's a very kind of clear-cut answer, but I still hold, not just Valve, I hold the people on YouTube, and I've mentioned their names. I'm not going to mention their names again. There's two in particular who are advertising gambling websites. Now, I think, as I calm down and think a little bit more, that what also is going on is it's just not the gambling site, it's how those YouTubers are going about it. And you have to remember what the story is, they are advertising on YouTube. You can win these skins that are worth a lot of money. All you've got to do is come and gamble on this site. And they're not saying that they're actually owning that website. So they've got access to the back doors, the code, the algorithms that could basically swing gambles in their favor, which is totally illegal. Now, and that's obviously a separate story. But what is going on here is Washington is saying, look, it's your responsibility. It's your program. It's your software. You know, that's your responsibility. And I kind of agree with what they're saying. I do think it's Valve's responsibility to clean up something. They've got to clean something up because it makes me angry to hear that Steam are trying to just kind of push themselves away. Valve, Steam, just trying to push it away a little bit more, just get a little bit further away, stick their heads in the sand a little bit more, and just get out of the way a little bit. And that's how I feel they're being. I might be completely wrong, and I might be completely and utterly shooting the wrong duck out of the way sort of thing. I might be completely and utterly wrong, but I do feel that Steam, Valve have to hold their hands up in this one and hold some of the responsibility. And those guys on YouTube that are advertising or were advertising the gambling, for instance, they also need to be punished. They need to be punished. They need to be locked up for, inciting illegal gambling. That's what they were doing. They were allowing people to illegally gamble. So for me personally, I think Steam, they're just trying to wash their hands of whatever it is. They're trying to clear them, make themselves look good with a bit of an answer here, there. But I think, now Washington have gone and done this. Maybe you'll see other states in America follow suit. Maybe you'll see other countries follow suit. It's going to be a point, and I don't think we'll see it this year. You might see it next year, where it's going to get quite heavy for Valve because there might be more and more people piling on the pressure for them to do something about it. Because the longer it goes on, it's going to look bad for the company. And I do agree with you. Selling skins, trading skins is fine. That's absolutely fine. But when it comes into the grey area of the whole gambling thing, that's wrong.
All right, so the chat is going bananas while you're talking.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Yeah. So Princess does make a good point. It's the equivalent of YouTube taking down copyrighted material on their platform. They are legally required to do that because of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. I think what the real problem is here, and I do agree that Valve needs to do something about it, and I don't like that they've said, hey man, there's nothing we can do. But and you know, at the same time, I don't know that that's fair, because that's not really what they said. They didn't say there's nothing we can do. They said look, Washington State Gambling Commission, you know, stop shouting about this and come talk to us, and we can work together to try and solve the problem instead of dragging us through the mud in public. Now, maybe they need to be dragged through the mud in public. I'm not sure. I don't know. But where I think the real problem is OpenID. OpenID is not Valve's. They didn't make OpenID. OpenID is a third-party system that a lot of people use. I believe that Google uses OpenID, Microsoft uses OpenID, and Valve is also using OpenID through Steam. And what that means is it's basically it's a way for people to authenticate at multiple websites without having to have without having to log in at every place. Twitter uses OpenID as well. And OpenID does not require you to prove your age when you make an account. So therefore, I think that and correct me if I'm wrong, Zap, but I think your main problem with this is that underage people are able to get around laws that are in place to stop young people from gambling when they don't really understand the consequences. Am I wrong there?
No, you're pretty bang on to why my whole point. At 18 years old, you're old enough to make your own silly decisions. If you want to go gamble every single penny that you have at 18, then that's your own fault. I don't know the laws in your state where you live, Run Jump, what age you have to be to start gambling. In the UK, it's across the country, it's 18. You cannot actually go into a bookies. We have a special horse race over here, the Grand National. It's once a year, and I always do a bet on the Grand National. I can't even take my children into a bookies because they're under the age of 18. So that kind of thing, that is that. And when I finally calm down and kind of go, okay, breathe, and just, but for me, it is that gambling thing. And then you see that maybe Steam aren't doing, or Valve aren't doing anything wrong as such. It is this open ID is the actual problem. You know, that's where the problem is lying, is these children, these people, these underage people are using OpenID to get around the whole I'm 18 years old.
Right. So I personally think that the Washington Gambling Commission, I think that they'd be better off going after the OpenID Foundation and getting them, you know, maybe they just need to pass a law that says if you are making an online account that can do anything with monetary value, like if you can exchange goods for dollars, pounds, ruples, whatever, on the internet, then you have to verify your identity with a government identification. I think that would probably, if they made a law like that, and OpenID would have to follow that if we made it a law here. That wouldn't stop anything in other countries, but they would have to follow that, and then therefore that could solve it for Valve and anybody else who's doing this. So what do I just to summarize my feelings, I think that there needs to be a law that says that you have to prove how old you are. using some kind of state ID, and in order to have an account on the internet that lets you move money back and forth. I also think that instead of going after Valve necessarily, I think that the State of Washington Gambling Commission needs to definitely go after the guys on those YouTube videos that own these websites. And for those of you who didn't see the previous episode, for those of you that didn't see the previous episode, sorry, I got distracted. Zap told us about these guys doing a YouTube video where they're showing, hey, look, I can put in $1 and get out this skin, and then I can turn around and sell it for $50. But the thing is that they owned the site that they were gambling on, and they were artificially inflating their chances of winning the thing in order to increase their YouTube revenue and to also to get people to go to the site. So, that's a little slimy if you ask me. Chaz in chat, which I'm going to always say that from now on, he says, isn't that why they ask for credit card info to verify how old you are? I think that there needs to be something beyond that. I think that it has to, ask for credit card info, ask for driver's license info, ask for your, not social security number, because right on the social security number it says you're not supposed to use this for anything but social security, and it's not a valid form of ID. But ask for this information and then back it up with a phone call. Like, it should be difficult to get an online account that it should be not difficult. There needs to be some kind of process to make it difficult for people who don't have that ID in order to get an open ID or an online thing that can trade things for money. In my opinion.
I will say this. Sony have a good, and again, there are ways around this. Whatever you put in place, there'll always be a way around it.
Yes, there will.
And
you just need to try and put up as many roadblocks as you can to stop kids from doing things that they aren't old enough to understand the responsibilities for.
With Sony, I got a PlayStation 3 when I was under the age of 18. So my dad had to create an account, and that was a master account. Now, with a master account on the PlayStation, I couldn't purchase anything unless there was money on the master account. I couldn't buy anything for the PlayStation Store. There was a limit. I could download any free game, so there was a way of doing it. So again, it goes down to a little bit of trust in the consumer, which is kind of like, you're preying on hope. But why not have a master account for Steam? Why not have a way of making? And yes, it's not saying that people who are going to go out and do the gambling thing, or are just going to create a master account themselves, but average Joe Blogs, who's 14 years old, types in his age, and he puts his real age in because he knows all he's got to do is get his mum and dad's credit card to verify it. Because that's all you got to do. Oh, mum, I want to buy a game, GTA 5. Can you buy it for me? Here's my credit card, blah, blah, blah. Not that I'm condoning 14-year-olds to buy an 18-year-old game. That's not what this story's about. And as soon as Steam realizes, oh, hang on a minute, you're under the age of 18, right, you have to go through a master's account. You have to have a non-master's account. You have to have a child's account, which then you have a master's account linked to it. Yet again, it doesn't stop anything. I agree with you. In the UK, we have ways of verifying that we're 18 years old. I think it's got to be more verification. I think that, we are at this point where states and companies, they're just kind of picking off the easiest target. And I think Valve are the easiest target. They're the biggest company. They're the biggest, fish in the pond, if you like, where, I do think they hold some responsibility to what's going on, but OpenID need to be sorted out as well. And again, these YouTubers that are advertising this, because it's kind of like you've got 2 or 3 different stories all rolled into one, where when you break it down, you've got the whole verification story, then you've got the whole OpenID thing, and then you've got the actual gambling. So there's a lot of things to talk about and break everything down in a sense that it's not just the gambling. The gambling was what kind of showed the weakness in the system.
Yeah.
And Steam, like many other websites, if you read, I put the link in chat, if you read the OpenID Foundation website, over 50,000 websites use this.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That is a lot, and it would change the face of how we use the internet. But that's not a bad thing. Change is not a bad thing at all. Adapt it, change, and just find a way of verifying that you are 18 years old. Because there's nothing worse than reading on the internet that little Timmy's made his mum and dad go broke because he bet on CS:GO skins.
Right.
You know, someone did put in chat. Well, I can't remember. It might have been Zenkless. Put in chat. Why don't we just get rid of CS:GO altogether? Unfortunately, it won't. It makes Valve a lot of money through esports. You know, it's one of the biggest esports on the market. So you just can't get rid of a game like that. What you got to do? Just got to plug the back doors. You got to make sure there is ways of making sure that 18-year-olds are 18, 14-year-olds are 14.
Yep. One thing that I got 2 points that I want to add, and then we can move on to the next story. The first one is, and I'm surprised. I'm honestly surprised that nobody said this yet. Is that some of the onus has to be on the parents as well?
Yes.
If you aren't aware of what your kids are doing, then you're doing something wrong. My son, he does not do something on his computer without me knowing about it. I can log in on my computer and watch what he does on his computer from the other room. Now, not every parent is going to have the technical know-how to do things like that, although companies are making things like that a lot easier these days. It doesn't have to be really difficult to do that. But parents need to be involved in what their kids are doing so that they know. Like the guys who they handed their phone to their kid, and their kid bought $38,000 worth of Smurf berries. I feel a little bad, but you know what? The guy should have paid attention to what his kid was doing when he used it. The second point that I want to make, and then we can move on, is that some people, Kodiak Moonwolf in chat, said that he has a problem with all this age verification stuff because he's in his 20s, he doesn't have a driver's license, and he doesn't have a passport. Now, I don't know how hard it is in other countries, but I think it's pretty easy to just go and get a state identification with your birth certificate here in the U.S. It doesn't have to be a driver's license. It doesn't have to be a passport. It's just got to be like a state-verified identification thing so that, like, what happens if you want to go buy booze? Although I know in the UK the drinking age is lower than it is here in the U.S., but if you want to go buy booze, you got to be able to identify yourself. How does that work over there? I don't know. But
well, the passport thing's a little bit more difficult. Passports here, they're quite hard to get hold of because you have to go to an actual passport office, and if you haven't had one before, passport office have an interview, you know, and it's quite a lengthy process. You have to have the passport application verified first.
Right, but I'm saying you don't need to get a passport. I'm saying there's got to be like.
But we don't
in the
have
US. We have non-driver's IDs.
We don't. I don't think in the UK we have that. I might be wrong. I mean, there might be some stuff out there that actually is that I don't know of. I have a driver's license and I have a passport, so I have my identification, and I've never really looked into anything else. So, but I understand what Kodiak's saying. It's if there is a way of getting identification out there that's different, then well, yeah.
All right. Well, we spent a lot of time talking about that story. Let's move on to the next one, and that is your story. Why don't you tell us about this?
Red Dead Redemption 2 announced. Yeah.
All right, did you play the first one?
Yes, I did.
I tried the first one. It didn't hold my attention. I think the main reason is because it's a single-player game. This is why I stream, is because I can't play single-player games anymore. I just get bored playing them. So streaming turns single-player games into multiplayer games, which is awesome. The first one I played a little bit, and I thought it was cool. I liked the world, but I didn't play it very much. So tell us more about Red Dead Redemption.
Red Dead Redemption is a open world sandboxed Wild West game. It's amazing. It's like a series. There's like Red Dead Revolver, and it was the predecessor to Red Dead Redemption. My only gripe is I wish they hadn't called it Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead 2 would have been good. because in Red Dead Redemption, you play a character who is, looking for redemption. So, and yeah, there was an expansion as Chaz.
Hold on, I'm just going to stop you right there. Don't give any spoilers, because I know I got a text from Bravd in chat this morning or last night. He said, I'm going to be playing the first one. So
right, I won't give
spoilers.
No story spoilers will be given here. Chaz and Chaz said that the expansion, there was like DLC for the first game with a load of zombies. It was quite a unique twist on it. So Rockstar, they announced the Red Dead Redemption second game. We all kind of knew it was coming because Rockstar had said after Grand Theft Auto 5 was released that Red Dead would be a staple series to their catalog. So we knew at some point we were going to be getting Red Dead 2. Must say that I did read this morning, they've also trademarked Red Dead Online. So it looks like it's going to be an open world online like the GTA. Very successful online game mode. And why not? Apparently this year it was reported that GTA 5 Online has made $500 million.
Nice.
Yeah, so they'd be stupid not to make an online version. But I hope they don't ignore the story and the stuff that makes a Rockstar game solid. The only downside to this, if you're a PC player, you gotta wait because it's only coming out on Xbox One and PS4.
Now, that doesn't bother me, but that's just because I don't like Rockstar games. I don't like their controls. I can't stand how their games control. They all feel like you're driving a very slow car when you move the characters around. It feels like the character is just a skin for an exceedingly slow car, and I don't like the way it handles, so I always kind of have trouble with it. A lot of people praised the controls for riding a horse in Red Dead Redemption.
It's very good.
I hated them, but that's just me. So I could not care less about this game. I'm excited that it's coming out because the first one got such high praise. So that means that there's going to be people who are playing a game that they're excited about because it's good. And Rockstar, I don't like their games, but that's not because they're bad games. It's because they're not games that I'm interested in. All right, let's take a quick break, and then we're going to come back for the lightning round. Does that sound good?
Yep.
All right, we'll be right back, everybody. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. So we are now in the lightning round. We're going to have to go fast because I am running out of time. Are you ready?
I'm good.
All right, so pay to play is coming to Hearthstone. Basically, Hearthstone has been having tournaments, and their next tournament, and this is an experiment it seems like, has a buy-in. So like if you play poker, you pay to get into a game, and then you get your chips to play or whatever. The one thing that I when I said this as a buy-in, I saw your face. You were like, "Whoa!" I could see the rage starting to boil up. You cannot get real money out of this, and you cannot trade cards with people in Hearthstone. So I don't think that's really going to be an issue. And you cannot win real money either. So when you're playing this, the only thing you can get is Hearthstone cards and being the guy who won the tournament. But it's a $10 buy-in for its latest Hearthstone event. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm a massive Hearthstone player. I haven't actually checked this out because it says it's actually in the game this week. This week's the Tavern Brawl. I'm gonna check it out and see what it's like. I'm not gonna pay $10 for it. Damn! I hope I win $10 worth of stuff. Seriously, that's my only. I want to win my value of cards and stuff. And yeah, I agree that if they keep it kind of like this, you're not gonna win anything. You can't actually you gamble or anything like that. It's no actual official. There's no way of ruining that sort of stuff. But what I want to see from Hearthstone before we quickly move on is an actual poker style game. Like they have multiple people and really switch it up. Because I think Hearthstone needs a slightly more, way of playing. And I maybe this is their way forward. So I'll have a look. I'll check it out. So we'll see.
All right, tell us about the next story.
The sexy handheld ZX Spectrum is coming out in time for Christmas. I thought this might be right up your street. This is a Sinclair ZX Spectrum, which is a handheld retro games console. I think it looks quite cool.
It does look cool.
Yeah, it's £100 in the UK, which I'm guessing is about $120. All right, which isn't bad because you get 1,000 licensed games.
These are the ones that are on the original ZX Spectrum?
Yep. All booted, loaded to go, and there'll be another 14,000 titles available to download for free, and apparently there are ways of loading your own games on there as well. This thing looks cool. Yeah, this thing looks cool, and I say that's value for money.
Yeah, for $100, that's pretty cool. My only problem is, for crying out loud, between the Xbox, the Nintendo, and the PlayStation, we already got the X in in all these different locations on a controller, and these guys decide to go with SF1 and 2 on their controller.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, people. Can we just agree where the buttons go and what they're called? It's so confusing.
They didn't even get the colors right. As a PlayStation fan, the colors are awful. Yeah, I agree with that. That's just stupid. And
I'm looking at the colors. The colors are different from Xbox as well.
Yeah, different from Xbox as well.
So they completely screwed the pooch on the button placement. I think it looks cool, and maybe I'll get one. Maybe it's a big maybe though. But that's kind of neat. All right, so that's the end of that. The next section is what we call Game Off, and I was supposed to record a thing and I forgot to. This is where you and I try and convince everybody to get out there and play a game, and we have people vote on which game wins. Last week, you said Final Fantasy X X2. I said Antichamber. You destroyed me. Everybody voted for Final Fantasy except for 2 people. But that's okay. We got this week to go to. So go ahead and take your victory lap. We'll see what happens. This week, mine is, and I don't even remember now. Oh, yeah. I'm going to be playing this on Friday on my stream. It's Ghostbusters, the video game, which is a really great game. It's got the entire cast from the movies are back. They voiced it. This is essentially Ghostbusters 3. It's really good. I played it on the Xbox 360, and I got it on Steam sale for like $2 or something ridiculous like that. It's got, when you play this game, it really feels like you would imagine it feels to wrangle these ghosts as you are shooting them with the streams, and you're like really wrestling them to get them into the trap. It's really cool, and I definitely am looking forward to playing it again. So that's mine. What is yours?
Well, mine's so retro this week that it's not even on Steam. So you got to find this game is a little bit more harder to play, but there are ways of playing this, mostly via emulation. I didn't say that. So this week my game is something from my childhood, and I want everyone to experience this. It's Cannon Fodder.
I've never heard of this.
You never heard of Cannon Fodder? Oh.
Let's hear it.
It was originally on the Amiga, and there are PC versions of this. This game is just brilliant in every sense of the word. It is my childhood. in a nutshell. This is the first game that I played. This is the first game, and this is how much this game means to me. If you're watching, you probably can hear and see the grin on my face talking about it. You control a little squad, and you just go around killing things, and you're fighting in a war. I think this was like
an RTS kind of thing.
In a way, yeah. So, and then you kind of build your squad up to 4 people, and it's just great. The first few levels were very quick and very easy, but then they get quite big levels, and you got like little stealth sections and stuff. Excellent. And you can, like, you know, your troops level up and things like that. It's very good. It's a very solid game. Had me hooked to playing it for hours. And do you know what? It's, if you can get a hold of it in some way, some form, you gotta play it. And the music on it is brilliant as well. The sound effects are hilarious. It's a great game. Really is a great game.
That looks really cool. I might vote for it. All right.
Oh, and Kodiak Moonwolf has put in chat that GOG.com, you can actually buy Cannon Fodder. You can buy it from GOG. It's £4.69, or probably about $6 for you. So it is there. You can get it there.
All right, and I just put a link in chat so people could vote for what they said, what they want to, which game you think is more interesting to you, Ghostbusters the video game or Cannon Fodder. I think both are. Cannon Fodder definitely has piqued my interest. I like that old school charm. Now we've got a section that we call the long play. This is where we talk about what we played this week. I honestly have not had very much time to play video games this week. Yesterday, I streamed for a little bit. I played... I forgot. Oh, no, I played Guild Wars 2 because it's the Halloween stuff, the Mad King. I played the Mad King stuff for that. I played a little bit of WoW, and I played a little bit of Shovel Knight. No, that was last week that I played Shovel Knight. So, honestly, I didn't have a whole lot of time to game this week. What about you? Oh, wait, one more thing. I almost forgot. Thank you very much to Magister. He bought me Sunless Sea, which was on my wish list. I haven't played it yet. I was planning on playing it this week, but a million things have come up. So I'm definitely going to play that. And yes, Princess invited me into a game on Overwatch, so she saw me doing that as well. So I also played that. So, all right, go ahead and tell us, what did you do this week?
Well, how did your raid go this week, sir, before we move on?
I didn't get to raid this week because,
okay.
What the heck? What happened? Something happened. I had something that I had to go, that was going on. My wife came in and went, oh, yeah, I remember now. So my wife comes in the room when I'm playing a game. It was probably, it was the Overwatch, the new Brawl thing. I was playing that,
yeah.
And you're trying to stay alive, and action's coming at you like crazy. And my wife comes in, and she told me, "Hey, we got to do this thing on Sunday," and I'm like, "Yeah, okay, whatever, huh?" And then Saturday night, she's like, "Hey, don't forget, we got that thing tomorrow." I was like, "What are you talking about? I got the raid." And she's like, "No, I told you earlier this week." I go, "Well, when did you tell me?" She goes, "I don't know. You were playing a game." I go, "Then I didn't hear you." All right, that's beside the point. What did you play this week?
Before I do my long play, I would just want to say this Saturday, this is a bit of a special mention. In Guild Wars 2 is Pink Day. It's a yearly thing, and it's to raise money for cancer research. The Canadian Cancer Society. I've been a part of this for the last couple of years. They help fund research all over the world. So if you're in Guild Wars 2 this Saturday, put on your pink gear and come and join us for a lot of fun and games. I have been doing this week the Guild Wars 2 raid. Got a Sabbatha, 50% on Sabbatha. We're getting her. But I think raiding is going to be a bit strange. There's been some massive nerfs in the Guild Wars 2 community. Might do a bit of a story about that next week on the way the balance is going to looking. And 2 games that really piqued my interest this week. World of Final Fantasy demo you linked to me the other day. I played. I've done a full. It's an hour's demo. Or the thing from start to finish is an hour. It's brilliant. I'm hooked. I want to play more. It's out very soon, and I've done a video. It's going onto my YouTube channel. I did one earlier and no sound got uploaded for some reason, but I've redone it. It's uploaded onto YouTube. if you got time, I just uploaded the full playthrough. Have a watch. It's really cute and kind of like that sort of thing. But there's lots of characters from the Final Fantasy world. So for me, as a bit of a Final Fantasy fanboy, brilliant. Other game that I played, H1Z1, King of the Kill. If you've got a chance, go out and buy H1Z1, King of the Kill. It's hilarious, and it gets really tense. You versus 161 people, and you got to basically survive. And you're just killing each other as massive battle royal modes. And the idea is to stay alive the longest. It's great for streaming, and it's a really good game. They've done a lot to sort the game out from cheaters and stuff like that. So that is what I've been playing this week.
All right, we got 2 questions. One question here. Eskimo Princess wants to know: is this going to be the Pink Day? Is that going to be on North American servers as well?
Yes, it started in North America. It started in Guild Wars 1. When Guild Wars 1 was huge, they started out there, and it's always been a massive North American thing. In the last 2 or 3 years, they've brought it over to the EU as well, and we've got a nice following over there. So yes, I will be streaming it, the whole event, the PvP, the whole lot. So it's good fun.
Awesome. And if you're looking for something to use that's pink, Casimir's staff is pink, and it is one of the coolest looking weapon skins in the game for staffs, in my opinion. All right, that being said, let's move on to the wish list, and we're going to do this fast because I got to take my son to cross country here shortly. So my thing this week, or not again, but is The Witness. Have you played The Witness or seen The Witness?
I've seen it, but I haven't played it.
All right, so The Witness, to me, it feels like you're playing Myst or Riven. It's a puzzle kind of game in a first person where you gotta solve these weird signs. I watched somebody playing it and it looked really neat, and I like puzzly stuff, so I thought it was cool and I added it to my wish list. What about your wish list?
My wish list has the new Battlefield 1 game, which is out this week. I've seen the first 20 minutes of the story, and that game has me wanting that so much.
No, that's the one that takes place during World War I, right?
Exactly right, yeah. Whatever EA... I played the beta, wasn't really kind of convinced by the beta, but I think they chose quite a poor map. Whatever EA are doing at the minute, and I never thought I'd ever say this, they're doing right. FIFA 17 has an incredible story mode on it. It's not incredible, it's very good for a football game. But Battlefield 1, the story so far, from what I've seen, the first 20 minutes of it, just watching it on YouTube has made me feel all sorts of emotions. They've got a really cool mechanic. When you die, you go to another person on the battlefield, and you play a bit of their story. Whether that goes through the whole story, I don't know. It looks stunning. I mean, it looks incredible.
Yeah, it's a very pretty game. They're pushing the hardware really well. Is that available on Steam? Because I just looked for it. I couldn't find it.
No, it's not. It's available on Origin, on EA's platform. Of course, I will say this. Please, if you have a PC and it's powerful enough and you have a console, buy it on the PC, because you're going to... I never support one over the other, because I have a console game as well, but this game needs to be seen in all its glory. As much as War can look good, this game just looks incredible. Just one thing it's got a real emotional roller coaster ride. With the story just looks full of real lows, and just that pure... They seem to have done something right, and I honestly do think this is kind of a bit of a middle finger to the Call of Duty franchise. I really do think that they've gone, well, this is what we can do.
My last question about it is, do you have any idea how long it is? Because I will not be playing it online. I'm not interested in... The people who play the Battlefield games and the Call of Duty games, they're just too good for me. My skill level's too low, so I won't be playing the multiplayer stuff. Is the single player stuff, like, how long does that last?
I believe now Battlefield 1, the story, Battlefield story traditionally only lasts about 8 to 10 hours, like any first person. The main hook is the campaign. Now what you have to decide is for you, is it worth playing a 10-hour campaign? That to decide. For me, I play player because I enjoy the series online. But this story, I think it's going to be worth, just to see what they're doing, worth every penny. So that's my 2 cents on it.
All right. Well, that is it for us. We didn't have any feedback from you guys, so don't forget that you can get a hold of us at runjumpstomp@gmail.com, or you can give us a voicemail at 260-RUN-JUMP. That is it for the show this week. If you want to support the show, the number one way you can do that is to go to iTunes and give us a review. As soon as we get when you get reviews on iTunes, that gives you the possibility of getting pushed into the new and noteworthy section, which means more people would see the show. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube at Run Jump Stomp. And Zap, where is it that people can find you?
On Twitter and YouTube is at Django Zap, and on Twitch it's at DJ Zap.
All right, I don't have anything more for you guys today, so have a good one. As always, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, man.